Welcome back. Thanks again for joining us. Coming to you live from the Union Buildings, the statue of Utata Nelson Mandela overlooking us as we prepare for the official Freedom Day festivities. The theme this year is celebrating the beginning of the third decade of our freedom through radical economic transformation. I'm joined by Dr. Somadoda Fikeni to unpack that for us and what exactly it means. Doctor, very good morning to you. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you and good morning to you and your viewers.
This issue of radical economic transformation is sort of at the bone of contention in our democracy, is it not? A lot of focus on our political emancipation, not so much when it comes to economic transformation. How do we do better going forward?
Well, I do think that short of having something like a Marshall Plan, which took place in Europe after the Second World War, or a New Deal which took place in the US after Great Depression, you need a massive, conscious, concerted effort to deal with wealth ownership, land reform, with making sure that those who are excluded from the economy are included, to deal with unemployment, intergenerational poverty, growing inequality, and most importantly, corruption. Because you can't do all these other things if you have any corrupt system, be it in the public or private sector.
Key to equality in South Africa, crucial for making sure that there is that interjection of cyclical poverty or intergenerational poverty, the issue of education. How are we faring when it comes to that? Because many say it is the focal point in making sure that we change things around in South Africa.
It is the most fundamental ingredient for any developing economy. If you are faltering in your education, then you won't have human capital. You won't sustain your growth, and you'll forever depend on importing labor. But that too is not sustainable. We have not done as well as we should because of the policy turnovers. I think initially we were so anxious to change the system without understanding what we wanted to change to what we wanted to change. Hence, many programs, your OBEs and many others, Curriculum 2005, you've seen some of them having to be reviewed and reviewed. But most important are the basics. How to make sure that you provide skills that speak to the economy, that speak to the societal development, such that a child going to high school, if anything happens, that child can stand on her or his own. Entrepreneurial skills, vocational skills, as well as going forward, producing leaders who can lead the process of change. So education, 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 even if you produce it in surplus, to supply it to other countries because of the global integration.
I'm glad you touched on a child, so that parent-child relationship. If you were a parent and deciding whether or not you're going to throw a 21st bash for your child being South Africa, if you will indulge me in that metaphor, as it were, because, you know, a parent will say, if you have behaved well, I'll do a 21st birthday for you and I will hand over this key. So if you were the parent of this proverbial country, would you find it fitting to celebrate a 21st and hand over this rite of passage?
Well, any society, in a development of a person, you'll always have the rite of passage, whether Western or traditional. But key in that rite of passage, it's when you are able to impart values, to impart and empower young people. And that is the value of any rite of passage. It doesn't matter where it is, whether it is an initiation ceremony, in a customary sense, in Tonjana for the girls in a customary sense, or it is in the West, 21st, birthday celebration. Parents should use that to say what are the key values, norms, customs that we should pass to the next.
So would South Africa be fitting of such a ceremony?
Certainly, without any doubt. Whilst we have challenges and a long road ahead, we should never ignore the progress made, even if putting the base like institutions of democracy even if expanding electrification, water and so forth, social grants. But the key question is, how do we use this as a launching pad? How do we reflect and correct the mistakes of the first 2 decades?
We'll have to leave it there, at least for now. Always insightful, and I think that's a point to leave it there. Well, thank you so much to our SABC2 viewers for having joined us for the last